of this state so that we can solve any budget cuts that come from the federal government. That's just one of the pitfalls of serving in the legislature on the reapportionment and redistricting years. Well, I haven't decided what I'll do about the pay raise bill. I would point out that it is my bill, and it's a very strong step forward in trying to give the state employees more equitable reimbursement.
I think in order to keep up with GM and all the other plants in the Oklahoma City area, the state employees are really underpaid compared to the other employees in this area.
I definitely feel it's overdue and that it's about time the state is doing something for the state employees to help them to live a decent life.
State employees should be equal to, private businesses.
Well, I think that we haven't kept up really with the cost of living the last 2 or 3 years on our ordinary pay raises.
All right, hold it there. All right, Henry, I'm going to let it down a little bit now. There it is right there. Just hold it right now. Hey, Bill.
A break in a main water pipe created a lot of problems for people, especially on the northwest side of Oklahoma City. Millions of gallons of water escaped from the pipe, causing either low water pressure or no water at all in many homes. The break occurred when road work crews accidentally cut into the pipe. Last night, there was an all-out effort to correct the problem. A 48-inch section of pipe has replaced the damaged section, and water pressure is slowly being increased in the pipe, thus restoring water to homes and businesses that had all but run out of water. However, today, City Manager Jim Cook extended a water emergency for the city, and he explains why.
At the present time, the collar on the repair is still leaking, and we have a crew this morning, after it's been under pressure for a time, trying to tighten that collar to complete the seal, which will then allow us to go ahead and cover the pipe up and put it back in service. At the present time, under full pressure, the line itself and the adjacent line is holding. We've had no further cracks or other indications of damage, so that all of the city, as far as we can tell at this point, has had pressure restored since the middle of the night.
We received word from the city manager's office at about 3 o'clock that the pipe is holding and the pressure will be increased throughout the night. However, city officials are asking that all outside watering be stopped until 9 o'clock. In the meantime, you folks in northwest Oklahoma City can start showering up and drinking up again. Ed Stewart, Action 4 at Channel 4.
The only thing that I've heard was that it would not be very far from the parking area that they have made a point of putting in. And all of this is important. Now, if it were...
Disturbing a wilderness, though.
Well,
area that has been
undoubtedly it
designated
does.
as-
Undoubtedly, operations, whatever.
Yeah.
This is really just...
We've been told by the oil industry that they can operate in sensitive areas, and certainly an urban wilderness meets that description. Our experience, however, with the existing well run by B&D Oil Company has been very disillusioning. There have been several saltwater spills running down into the lake that's on the urban wilderness. A open pit that was there for a long time that we finally got help the Corporation Commission in closing, and a general calloused attitude about the nature of the area where they're working.
The owners of this well are Bill and David Nair. Now, there are several questions we'd like to ask the Nair brothers. For instance, exactly how many wells do they intend to drill in the park? And why can't they offset them? Put the actual rigs on the edge of the wilderness area and then drill at an angle underneath the park. We'd like to ask them those questions, but we can't, because they have refused all comment on the case. As a matter of fact, their lawyer said he doesn't intend to try this in the media.
Well, of course, I'm deeply regretful that it's been necessary to even to argue about this business of a well, because it never occurred to me that there was any such thing as mineral rights involved. Now, if the mineral rights are valid, if this must be, then I guess the only thing we can do is to take it in our stride and hope for the best.
We hear like gasoline cans exploding, or fire bombs, or just bam, bam, bam.
Employees could be out of a job in 3 months, but there's a good possibility the majority of them will be transferred to another state agency. This department was established during the oil embargo. The fact that it's being phased out could cause problems for Oklahomans in the future, says Acting Director Dick Hill.
Today, it would not affect the state of Oklahoma. However, if something happened overnight, which is very likely that it could, there's always the possibilities of another oil embargo, or the possibilities of a crisis like we had in 1972, and I used the word crisis in place of an oil embargo, the tightening up of product. If it happened today or tomorrow, it could be a serious problem without the people to handle the shortages that we experienced in 1979 and during the oil embargo.
It's very difficult for a homeowner to have their entire jewelry box stolen and then try to come back in and remember what was there. You can't do it. Even if you can remember what was there, how do you describe a ring that you had in your jewelry box when you don't have that ring to look at? That's the thrust of the jewelry identification program. It's an advanced notification to a homeowner to, in a simple brochure, to review, take the form that's included, and look at that item, follow the very simple layman's term instructions, and describe that item that you have. That item and that form of all the reports we get in from the precious metal dealers. So it's layman's terminology describing an item that gives us a lead.
Yeah.
So, well, we'll see.
5, 7. Yes.
I think the people of Oklahoma are entitled to know. So I'm requiring that every employee in the Treasurer's office take a polygraph test regarding this theft. We will keep smaller amounts of cash on hand. We will periodically move all cashiers for more than a day or two to a different duty so that someone totally different has access to the cash.
Winters says he'd be happy to take a polygraph examination along with his 22 employees, and he says he'll fire any worker who refuses to take the test and then turn that information over to the proper authorities for possible prosecution. Scott Wallace, Action 4 at the state capitol.
These are $7.50 and these are $5.
Now, just so you'll know, there are several things that you shouldn't do with fireworks. Now, first and most obvious is don't let small children play with them unsupervised. There's no telling what they may do with them. And don't band them together. The manufacturers intended them to be used one at a time. And don't forget, the Oklahoma City Fire Department warns the quality control in the production of fireworks isn't the best. So they may not always do exactly what the label says they'll do, so of course, make sure nobody is standing nearby when they do go off.
Initially, we've developed only the general description, and that is a white female, 39 to 49 years old, 5'5" to 5'6", 80 to 110 pounds with brown hair. The victim did have long pink fingernails, excluding her right index finger. She had very extensive dental work. She also had a hysterectomy. But beyond that, that's the only description we've been able to develop. And again, we've received no information at all from other law enforcement agencies.
I think REO report
9-member alcoholic beverages license
charged by the mayor and then by the council members respectively. Businesses do not pay taxes, and anytime there's a raise put on a large user of anything, you know who pays that bill? The consumer still pays that bill. It's kind of hard to get people to really understand that. But the bill is passed on. And each time we do those kinds of things, we make it a hardship on the profits of those businesses and causes them to have to cut back in production because they've had to up the price on whatever they produce. Thereby, they have to lay off people.
I think everybody that moves here, every industry that comes here, knows and understands and recognizes this is semi-arid Oklahoma and that they will have to pay the cost, the full and fair cost for their water. And yet, if we adopt this fully, in fact, if we struck down all rates and had all rates exactly the same in this city, our rates would still be less than many surrounding communities.
Plants like the General Motors assembly plant would be among those first to see the increase in water rates. General Motors uses about 30 million gallons of water each month, and up until now they had been buying that water wholesale. But all of that will change in 30 days. Do it so I can get out of here.
That was the key to supplying and didn't get away from us any more than it did. And we, in fighting the fire, we had to do that. Well, the men apparently were almost completely covered up with clothing of one kind or another, so I don't think we have it. They were apparently dark complected and about 6 feet tall and wearing these jumpsuits and the stocking caps. So in terms of physical description, I don't really think we have anything too much to go on. They did leave some materials behind that they had used in setting the fire, and the police have dusted those for fingerprints, and hopefully that'll be productive in helping our investigators find out who they are.
This was an intensively sick person. He had basic medical data says that if you have incubating rabies, the risk of you giving it to another person, whether it be a patient or somebody, your wife or your children, that risk is essentially zero. That is not how the disease is transmitted. The new rabies vaccine is not the painful 21-day course you have to go through. It's a much shorter, less painful experience.
Hospital officials emphasize that it's extremely rare for rabies to be transmitted from person to person. As a matter of fact, they're not sure that it's ever happened. However, if you've had contact with David Bankhead in the past few weeks and are worried, contact the local health department or South Community Hospital. Ted Brown, Action 4.
Well, I'm not going to plead guilty to anything I'm not guilty of. I'll just have to go through court to prove that I'm innocent.
And with the kickbacks, you don't have any idea of what that's all about?
No.
Richardson was admitted here at Baptist Hospital, where his condition is listed as fair. His doctor doesn't know exactly what's wrong with him. He was originally admitted because of shortness of breath, but after running several tests, it appears the commissioner has a number of problems. Now, even though his trial date has been postponed, it's not exactly sure when the commissioner will be in federal court to face kickback charges.
Mr. Richardson has some qualified and competent supervisors as far as his road programs are concerned, and that any projects that are underway will continue to be taken care of. And there might be a slow up as far as introducing new projects in that particular area, but they can be picked up at a later date.
The promoters of this country western concert, Oceanside, Oklahoma Incorporated, had to fight in federal courts for 2 weeks to be able to hold the concert here. The court said that this was Indian property. Well, the promoters of the concert resolved that problem by buying the land themselves. The patrons of the concert aren't too concerned about controversy, though. They're just here for the music.
I think it's been real organized today, too. I've been to a lot of them that they aren't organized. What do you mean by that? Well, it was real easy to get out here, and there were people that showed us how to park, and we went right to our place, came right on in.
You shouldn't have problems like that, though, because if the people set it up, they're going to make money on it, but everybody's going to have a good time, and people don't have enough good times in this life as it is, in my opinion.
Just look around, see all the girls around here, look right behind you.
our Oklahoma City arson investigators and Norman police this afternoon in Norman arrested Moshin Jalabalam Ali, 26-year-old man, and we are charging him with arson in the first degree in connection with the fire at the Sheraton Century Complex. Hopefully more arrests will follow, because we've known from the beginning that at least 3 individuals were involved in the setting of the fire.
Arson investigators still aren't sure what the motive was behind the fire at the Century Center Plaza. There was some talk earlier that it might have been a political dispute between the suspects and a couple of the Iranian owners of the health club. However, they've completely discounted that now. But whatever the reason for the fire, the suspect faces up to 35 years if convicted. Ted Brown, Action 4 from the Century Center Plaza.
Kansas governor told the ag leaders that agriculture groups in the United States haven't been competing in the international marketplace. Carlin says for too many years the United States didn't see the importance of international sales. But now the Kansas governor says we do.
It wasn't until the energy crisis and the sudden huge amounts of oil coming in that created the tremendous deficit that suddenly got the message across to people that it was nice if we were selling something. And only then we got a better understanding. You know, you look, we've started now. And there's always been a part of the federal government, but it was nothing, and it was never a priority.
Governor Carlin added that agriculture groups shouldn't isolate themselves. He said they should work together to promote all of America's agricultural products. Ben McCain, Action 4, at the state capitol.
I think that's the thing that might have been overlooked in all the commentary that's been going on about this, is the fact of, I think this has been going away, as we've said, at least 28 years, and maybe since statehood, and the people statewide have suffered as a result of it in bridges and roads and whatever services the counties furnish. You know, when you're paying a 10% kickback on everything you buy, that just obviously, at the very minimum, reduces what a county can buy by 10%, and we know it's much more than that.